While adventuring through the expansive, forest-like backyard of his adoptive parents' estate, Carter's eyes caught an unusual sight, a stone structure skillfully hidden by the surrounding greenery. His heartbeat quickened as he pushed open the heavy door. Inside, shadows clung to the walls, and the musty smell of the unknown filled his lungs. He hesitated, then dashed home to fetch a torch for a better look. As he ran back to the mysterious structure and went inside, the air quickly turned cold, and Carter's face lost all color on his face. Carter was shaking more and more with every step he took. Was he really doing the right thing by going into this unknown structure all alone? But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. It was very clear that going back to get the torch was absolutely necessary to navigate his way through this stone structure. There was not a single ray of light making its way into this thing except from the doorway. With the torch, he was able to see the old and damp stone walls around him. But he also noticed something else that frightened the poor boy. Carter said that there was little to the structure on the inside. It was just a small stone room that looked like it was in the process of being reclaimed by nature. But there was a small path in the corner of the structure that was leading down. It was a slim, long staircase going deep into the ground by the look of things. Should he really go down there? Was he making a mistake? He took a deep breath and braved his way down the dark, slim stairs, walking towards God knows what. There was no denying that this journey down scared him very much, but Carter just kept telling himself to be brave. Besides, if this bunker was as old as it looked, then what could possibly be down there that was still dangerous? It was also not like there were any big animals in these woods or something. Carter's family, seeking a peaceful existence, moved to a charming house bordering a vast, mysterious forest. This new home, surrounded by the tranquil beauty of nature, offered a stark contrast to their previous life in the bustling city. For Carter, a boy with a vivid imagination and a love for adventures, the forest represented an uncharted world, teeming with possibilities and hidden wonders waiting to be discovered. On one of his explorations, Carter's keen eyes caught sight of something unusual, a stone structure cleverly concealed by the dense foliage. Carter approached the mysterious structure with a mix of curiosity and caution. The door, aged and weathered, seemed to hold the weight of history. As he pushed it open, the door groaned, reluctant to reveal its secrets. The air that escaped felt cool and stale, as if it had been trapped inside for ages, preserving the tales of yesteryear in the stillness. Just as Carter stepped through the doorway, a sudden sound halted him in his tracks. It was a faint, unidentifiable noise that seemed to come from deeper within the shadows. Carter stood frozen, his fear intensifying with every silent, tension-filled moment. The finality of the door shutting filled him with a sense of dread, trapping him in a space where time seemed to stand still, a prisoner in a forgotten corner of the world. The darkness felt heavier, pressing in on him, suffocating his spirits. It was unlike Carter to wander off for so long, and with night approaching, their worry turned into a gnawing fear for his safety. Armed with flashlights, Daisy and Stefan, his parents, ventured into the forest, their calls for Carter slicing through the stillness. With each passing minute, Daisy and Stefan's worry deepened. The forest, once a place of beauty and tranquility, now seemed vast and menacing. Doubt and fear intertwined, as the possibility of not finding Carter became a terrifying thought they could not escape. As they moved deeper into the forest, Daisy and Stefan noticed fleeting shadows, brief glimpses of movement that vanished as quickly as they appeared. Hope surged with each sighting. The unknown movements in the periphery of their vision added an eerie sense of being watched, heightening their sense of urgency. Their search led them to an unexpected sight, the hidden bunker. The door stood ajar, an ominous invitation. As they peered into the darkness beyond, a sense of dread overwhelmed them. Daisy and Stefan stood at the entrance of the bunker, their hearts heavy with foreboding. The realization that Carter might have ventured into such a place filled them with terror. The bunker, a silent sentinel of secrets, seemed to mock their ignorance of its existence until now. With a deep breath, they began their descent down the narrow, winding staircase. The air grew cooler as they went deeper, the only sound being their cautious footsteps and the distant drip of water. Their voices echoed off the damp walls as they called out for Carter, each call a mix of hope and dread. The silence that greeted them after each shout was disheartening, yet they continued, driven by a parent's determination. Finally, a faint response pierced the silence. Carter's voice, weak but unmistakable, reached their ears. Daisy and Stefan, spurred by the sound of their son's voice, raced down the stairs, their hearts pounding with a mix of hope and fear. They arrived at the bottom to a heart-wrenching sight. Carter, asleep, bound to a stone pillar. The scene struck them with a mix of horror and relief. Panic briefly flared in their hearts as they confronted this new challenge. The room, which had just been a site of reunion, now felt more like a trap, its walls closing in around them. Their brief moment of joy was quickly overshadowed by the realization of their collective entrapment. Stefan, sensing the growing fear among them, and strode towards the door with a newfound courage. With a steady resolve, Stefan stood before the sealed door and called out, "Open up, Eugene, we forgive you." The silence that followed was heavy, laden with years of unspoken words and buried history. Moments later, the door creaked open. The opening of the door felt like a symbolic gesture, a barrier being lifted, revealing a path that led to answers long hidden. In the torchlight, an unkempt, elderly man stepped into view. His appearance was that of a hermit, with weathered skin and a gaze that held the weight of solitude. Carter stared in disbelief, trying to reconcile this figure with the fragments of stories he had heard. The old man's eyes, though weary, flickered with a recognition that spoke of deep, complex connections to Carter's family. With a mix of hesitation and resolve, Carter's parents led the old man and Carter back to their home. Carter sensed the significance of this moment, a pivotal point where the past and present were about to intertwine, revealing secrets that had shaped his family's life in ways he couldn't yet fathom. Gathered around the fireplace, Carter's parents began to unveil a hidden chapter of their family history. "This man," he said, gesturing to the elderly figure, "is Eugene, the original owner of our house." Carter's eyes widened in surprise. Daisy took over the storytelling, her voice soft but steady. "Eugene is not just any hermit, he's my father," Carter gasped, the pieces of the puzzle beginning to connect in his mind. Daisy recounted her childhood memories, filled with her father's eccentricities and his growing disillusionment with modern life, which eventually led him to disappear into the forest. Eugene began to speak. He told them of his disenchantment with society, how the superficiality and materialism had driven him away. He spoke of a world he no longer recognized, one that felt alien and oppressive. His isolation was a choice, a way to preserve his sanity amidst a world he felt was going mad. The family listened intently as Eugene described the bunker, a relic from the Civil War era that he had discovered and made his home. He explained how he had lived there, unnoticed, watching the years pass by. The land, he explained, had been in his family for generations, making his attachment to it deep and personal. Daisy, her eyes brimming with unshed tears, confessed to Carter and Stefan. She had believed her father to be dead, lost to the wilderness. Under this belief, they had inherited the house. Her voice trembled with guilt as she admitted that they never looked deeply into his disappearance, partly due to old family conflicts and partly out of fear of what they might find. Eugene unfolded the story of his presumed demise. Years ago, after his retreat into the forest, a mix-up at a local hospital led to a misidentification. The authorities mistakenly declared him dead, and with no one to contest, the news reached his estranged family. His voice held a note of sadness as he recounted how this error led to his daughter inheriting the house, under the false belief of his passing. This confrontation with the truth was both painful and cathartic, opening a path to understanding. Stefan and Carter, too, extended their empathy, recognizing the pain and solitude Eugene had endured. Daisy, Her voice, filled with hope, suggested Eugene move in with them. She expressed a desire to reconcile fully, to offer him the comfort and companionship of family. Eugene listened, his weathered face softening, touched by the offer. The idea of leaving his solitary life for a home filled with family was both daunting and heartwarming. The room was filled with a tentative optimism. Eugene, after a moment of thoughtful silence, gently refused Daisy's offer. His voice was firm yet tinged with affection as he expressed his gratitude, but insisted on returning to the bunker. He explained that the solitude of the forest had become a part of him, a sanctuary he couldn't abandon. Daisy's eyes glistened with unshed tears, understanding his need yet saddened by his choice. The family, gathered around the hearth, slowly began to respect Eugene's decision. Carter, though young, sensed the depth of Eugene's connection to his solitary life. They all realized that Eugene's peace lay not in the comforts of a conventional,